Welcome to the annual Bhagavad Gita lecture series by Sunandaji. We are privileged to have this opportunity to hear Sunandaji's in-depth teachings over 5 sessions on chapter 10 of the Bhagavad Gita entitled The Yoga of Supreme Manifestation. This lecture series is part of the ongoing efforts of Vedanta institutes in North America to promote the ancient wisdom of life to our audiences. Sunandaji is the daughter-disciple of world-renowned 98-year-old philosopher Swami Parthasarathy. Sunandaji has been lecturing on Vedanta globally for over 4 decades, translating deep philosophical truths of the Gita into practical guidelines for living. We now have a short introduction on Sunandaji.
At 29, I sat on a dais with the Bhagavad Gita book and saw 800 people before me. And at that point, I knew I had to talk. Whatever happened, happened. And thereafter, there was no stopping. There was no looking back. Watching him in life itself was a learning experience. Many times I used to wonder what must have inspired him to take that step, to move away from the comforts of a home and a business. Around 16, it was more of a conviction that I need to study this. I needed those answers. What was the purpose of life? That question became louder and louder in my mind.
Business is always looking for ways to increase productivity and efficiency. We speak with Sunandaji now, who is a philosopher of the Vedanta Institute.
International philosopher and Vedanta practitioner Sunanda Lilaram is joining us in our Espresso studio this morning to reflect on the dilemma of choice.
The Bhagavad Gita is a scripture that gives us a universal philosophy meant for all human beings. You can belong to any race or you can follow any religion, but we still need to know what it takes to be a complete human. Here is a path that helps us find efficiency, dynamism, and as a result, material prosperity, and at the same time, with inner discipline and understanding of higher values, find peace and bliss wherever we are. Sahana vavatu, sahano bhunaktu, saha viryam karavavahai, tejasvinavati tamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti. We are studying the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita entitled Vibhuti Yoga, or the Yoga of Supreme Manifestation. It has 42 verses, and what you see on the screen here is a summary of the whole chapter. You will not find this in the original text. This is part of the research done by Swamiji, who's also my father and guru. It makes it easy for anyone who is reading the chapter to understand the flow. As you all must know, that the Bhagavad Gita is a conversation between Lord Krishna and Arjuna. It is a conversation, and we are trying to study that conversation for the 5 days. So, what seems to be easy is something that we need to study. And that is why a summary that you see is something useful for any serious student studying the Bhagavad Gita. So, what are these topics? The first 11 verses, as you see here on the screen, knowing its supreme nature, the wise attain Brahman. Now, for those who are wondering, what do we mean Brahman? And why do the wise attain Brahman? Now let's understand one thing in life. There is a truth, there is a reality. What is it? Most of us don't know. When I say most, only a Christ or a Krishna or a Muhammad, Buddha, Mahavira, these sages, known and unknown, masters, prophets, they are the ones who discovered the truth, the reality of life. And they passed it on from generation to generation. Each time you find some master come and give us a message. But time has passed, and the masses of humanity are not familiar with this truth, this reality. Now, some of you may wonder, so what of it? We carry on with life. We are born into this world. We grow into adults. We nurture our young, make sure they have education, find a job or a profession or a business, something like this. When we say they can stand on their own feet, and then they have their own families, and then they have their children, and then we watch them grow, and this is life. What more? What we don't understand, as the great Shankara tells us, what are we doing? We are born into this world, okay. We are living in this world, all right. The only guarantee we have, can anybody tell me? What is the only, Only 2-3 people are saying, because nobody wants to admit. See, we have come for an auspicious occasion, Bhagavad Gita. Why are you talking inauspicious things? Death and all, you should not talk in a good atmosphere like this. We are only saying it is a fact of life. We don't want to come to terms with that. I'm not talking about death. I'm only saying all of us must understand we have a brief sojourn here in this world. You come into this world alone, you go alone. You're not taking anybody. Nobody is coming with you. Don't even look at your spouse. No. If you have brought the spouse here, don't ask, will you come with me when I die? He said, why are you talking inauspicious things? That's all you'll get. That's the only answer, honest answer you'll get. So what we're trying to say is, we understand we've come into this world, we've come alone, and we go alone. We take nothing. What are you doing your whole life? Earning, 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 earning. All right, nothing wrong with that. And then you want to enjoy, 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 enjoy. Nothing wrong with that. But all that you have earned, your name, your fame, your money, your position, your status, your recognition, nothing comes with you. Please understand that. The only thing that will accompany you is one of the two, knowledge or ignorance. Whatever you choose to do this lifetime. And when do you go? Nobody knows. anytime. You know why I'm saying all this today? Because tomorrow you can decide not to come. So you're clear what we're discussing here. We're talking facts. Like Shakespeare says, you've got to be made of sterner stuff if you want to seek the truth. All else is false. Nothing else in life is guaranteed. I'm not a pessimist. See, a philosopher is one who sees the difficulties in life and has solutions. A pessimist only talks about problems, no solutions. So he's only frustrated. We are not pessimists here. We are trying to be philosophers where you find a solution for any problem. That's what we're discussing here. First of all, let's face realities. The reality is we all have a brief sojourn here. Truth. And what do you take? Nothing that you're preoccupied with in life till today. Nothing. The only thing that you can take is knowledge or ignorance. Whatever you choose to pursue in this lifetime. In other words, human life is a unique opportunity. We're not animals, we are not plants, they also have life. We're different. So what is so unique about being a human being? Only a human being has this ability to look for something which is beyond our regular, routine, mundane existence. And it has nothing to do with your station in life. You could be young or old. You could be rich or poor. You could be successful or unsuccessful. It doesn't matter. These are not factors that determine your interest in knowing the truth. Either you have it or you don't have it. So, when we talk of Brahman, it is just another term or word to mean the truth, the reality, whether you use the word Brahman or Atman within each one of us, or the God principle, the self in you, the Godhood in you, these are all synonyms that indicate that there is a truth, there is a reality. Where is this truth? Where is this reality? Everywhere in the world, including within you. See, people who are devotees, they go to a temple. They plan a visit to go to a temple. For months, because you must get leave, you've got to take your family, they have to come, the children have to have leave, all sorts of planning goes on. And it's a big program to go. You go all the way to Tirupati or Shabarimala or wherever, in the north or south, wherever you go. And with great difficulty you go to the temple, and then you have to stand in queues, you have to wait for your turn to come in front of the deity. And when you come, we take all the trouble and come in front of the deity. What do? Close the eyes. What's the plan? What's the idea? That's all you do. Why? Why do you do that? Because what you seek is not there, it's within you. So you go all over the world, plan so much, only to close your eyes. It's symbolic. What it means is what you seek is not there, is right within you. So in a classroom like this, we are trying to find the truth within ourselves. That is all. And that truth, he says, a term that is used is Brahman. The first 11 verses, that is what we'll be discussing. Saying, knowing its supreme nature, the wise people. Wise because they understand. To be born a human is unique. You know how many species are there on this planet? Living species. Anybody has an idea? 82 lakhs. You got a number, huh? I thought I'll bluff my way. But I've heard, I don't know, I could be wrong, even that is a great number. They say there are about 1 trillion living species. I don't know, I find it on the internet. Whatever it is, we come to a compromise. It's a huge number. of all the living species on this planet, there is only one species that has an intellect that can think. The human being, the human species. Can you imagine the magnitude? I don't know, if you don't even need the Gita to be inspired. You should understand, to be born a human being is unique because we have this ability to think. But it's one birthday gift we have never opened. You may wonder, how are we saying that? Are we all not great thinkers? What we find in the world in the form of thinking, like scientists or economists or politicians, all these people are thinkers. They're thinking in various fields. But all the thinking is extroverted. It's out in the world. They're improving the world. No doubt the world is improved. What was this world 50 years ago? What was this world 100 years ago? What was this world 200 years ago? Amazing improvement. Such amenities and facilities are given to the human being to enjoy. It's amazing what the world is today. Yet, all these amenities and facilities have been given to us to make human life happier, easier, more comfortable. But can we say, with all the development in the various sciences and the way the world is today, we are a happier lot? I'm not saying you're unhappy. I'm sure some of you will say, listen, very well said, but I'm a very happy person. And surely you're happy. Please examine the happiness you believe you have. Please examine it. You say you're happy. I'm happy because I have a wonderful family. I have a great business, a profession. I have nothing to complain about. By God's grace, I've got all this. So you say you're happy because you have certain things in this world. It could be family, it could be business, it could be, I don't know, all the money and wealth they've made, the fame, whatever you have gathered. You've got it today. You've got a wonderful partner. I found somebody out of the world. Okay, that's why you're happy. So, in other words, your happiness is dependent upon factors outside of you. Please think. Now, God forbid, if something happened to those aspects outside of you, if it changes, or you lose something outside of you, would you still claim to be happy? You will say, naturally, you'll be unhappy. Natural. You see, that is natural. A human being is designed to be happy irrespective of the circumstances outside, provided you find it within you. That is the whole opportunity we call human life. You've got a whole life given to you to seek and find the truth within. This truth that we are talking about, Brahman, is a state of eternal bliss, eternal happiness. The happiness that you seek in the world and find is of a temporary nature. It could be long-term, temporary, but temporary. Because it's long-term, you believe it's forever. No happiness in the world is permanent because you're dependent on certain factors over which you have no control. So the wise understand this. It's not that you're unhappy with anything outside. Oh, you go back home and say, today Gita lecture, they said not to be happy with you, my dear. From now, I'll be unhappy with you. That is why they don't want you to come for Gita lectures. You pick up all the wrong things and go and, tell at home. So it's not that you shouldn't be happy. It's the dependence that we're talking about. When you gain the knowledge of the higher, then you will be less dependent on what the world offers you. That is being sensible. That is being wise. So that is what we'll be discussing in the 11 verses. And then the second topic, he says, how does Brahman pervade the world? Where this truth is everywhere, So how does this truth pervade the world? How does one know Brahman in this world? Verses 12 to 18. That's when Arjuna speaks. I did say it's a conversation between Lord Krishna and Arjuna. And then the third topic, Brahman's supreme manifestation shown analytically. 18 to 38. 20 verses you're going to be listening to this. And then the last part, he says, Brahman transcends the world, a mere fragment of its being. The entire world, when we say world, everything known, discovered and undiscovered, whatever is known to humanity, he says, it's a fragment, just an ounce, just a dot in the totality of its being. So this is you can see the thought flow now. And what we will do is take up from the first verse of the chapter 10.
Shri Bhagavanuvacha Bhuya eva mahabaho Shrunu me paramam vachaha Yatteham priyamanaya Vakshyami hitakamyaya.
Shri Bhagavanuvacha, the Blessed Lord said, O Mahabaho, another name for Arjuna, listen again to my supreme word which I will speak to you who are delighted for your welfare. So when he says, listen again, Shrunu bhuyaha, listen again. Now what you must understand, we are at chapter 10. 9 chapters have already been covered. Now, you don't have to worry about it. Starting from the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, where Arjuna, the commander-in-chief of the Pandava forces, collapsed on the battlefield, unable to fight the battle. So you all must understand, he was a commander, a warrior. See, if you and I collapse on the battlefield, it's understandable. But when a qualified person, a commander, falls and says, I can't do this, I'm not able to fight the battle, which he is qualified to do, his bounden duty as a commander. And he had a righteous cause. He was not doing it for his own selfish purposes. He had a noble cause to bring back righteousness. The Kauravas, the wicked ones, had taken over the kingdom and there was anarchy. There were all kinds of problems at that point. So for 13 long years, they had planned this battle, and at 0 hour, he collapsed. Why? He was overwhelmed with emotion. He couldn't take it that his own guru was on the other side, and the great warriors, people who had sacrificed their lives, they're his own kith and kin on the other side. He said, how can I kill them? As if he didn't know. All through he knew that he had to face them. But that gust of emotion clouded his thinking and he collapsed on the battlefield. So starting from that point, that when Arjuna was in a despondent condition, the first chapter, the whole of first chapter Arjuna speaks. Krishna doesn't say a word. Krishna happens to be his charioteer in the battle. And only in the second chapter, after Arjuna completely exhausted himself, said all that he had to say, and surrendered to Krishna, that's when Krishna's famous words to Arjuna says, Kutastva kashmalamidam vishame samupastitam anarya jushtam aswargyam akirtikaram Arjuna. How have you fallen to this state? It's un-Aryan, un-Indian. Indian, when I say, it's not that we are citizenship. Indian is one who has knowledge of the higher, in that sense. Anybody in the world who has knowledge of the higher. See, Bharata means Bha-si Rataha. One who revels in the light. Light of what? Light of wisdom is a Bharatvasi. Not a citizenship and passport. That has no meaning. So if you understand the value of knowledge and pursue it, that's an Aryan. He says it's an Aryan. Not only that, you don't get anything now. You don't meaning if you don't fight the battle, you're not performing your duties, and you will not get anything in the future. Why then would you engage in such a terrible action? By not doing what you ought to do, Arjuna. That's how he starts. So when Krishna is addressing Arjuna, it's not something, oh, this is history. How long ago was the Bhagavad Gita written? No, don't worry about all those historical factors. It's 5,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago, whatever it is. It's not of historical value. It was written for humanity. It's called Sanatana Dharma. What was given out in the Bhagavad Gita is Sanatana Dharma, or eternal principles of life, meant for one and all. As long as you believe you are a human being, you need to know these values. As simple as that. So, he said, when you pick up these values, then you live a life of a human being. So coming back to the discussion, so from that despondent condition, he went on to the next chapter, the third and fourth. He went on with different themes. Each chapter has a theme. Incidentally, when they have the title, the yoga, every chapter is called the yoga of something. So this particular chapter is Vibhuti Yoga, the yoga of supreme manifestation. Why is the word yoga repeated in every chapter? The yoga is a Sanskrit word. The root is yuj. Yuj means to join, to unite. So when they say you need to join, you need to unite, what does it imply? Anybody can help me here? If they say unite, join, what is the implication? Why do they say join? Because you're separated. See, if husband and wife come together, why don't you come together? You did not say. If they're coming separately, then you say, what happened? You fought with each other, why don't you come together? And then the husband says, no, we come together separately. Because that is the way you can maintain peace, I'm not talking about that. The fact that you're saying unite, join, the implication is you have separated. That is the indication. So the question is, why do they keep saying yoga? What have I separated from? That is something you must investigate. What have you separated from? We have separated from our original self. So when I ask you, who are you? You'll give your name. You'll give your status, a gotram, a community, whatever you say. You talk about and about yourself. But who are you? Who am I? Who is this human being? What are you made up of? When we come to that subject, most of us don't know. That's why the famous aphorism says, Tat Tvam Asi. That thou art. What is that? What are you? We have no clue. And yet that, when they say that, it means that truth, that reality, you art. That which you seek in a temple is within you, a temple or church or mosque. When you pray, what are you? Why do you bow down? Why do you close your eyes? Because you have to tell yourself, it's within me. The kingdom of heaven is within. That which you seek is within you. So that truth is within us. But how do you find it? Where do you find it? What is the process? When you set yourself to seek the truth within you, then you are performing yoga. Not just breathing techniques. I'm not ridiculing that, please. That is one aspect of yoga. Just as you should maintain physical discipline. Wake up properly in the morning and do your studies or whatever you need. You have a program. You do your exercises and maintain a proper healthy diet. keep your body fit. These are all physical disciplines. So is yoga, one aspect of yoga. But the true essence of yoga, yuj, to join, is to get back to your original state. So every chapter talks about a theme that will help you get back. So in this chapter, we are going to be talking about the supreme manifestation. When we get there, we'll discuss it. But how will that help us? It will help us start this journey to find the self within us. And if some of you are wondering, how is it going to help me in life? If you seek anything in the world outside, like we said, it gives you a temporary satisfaction, but it can never give you eternal peace or bliss. In fact, the richest man in the world, ask if he's happy. You'll say, that fellow's stupid, let me get there, I know how to be happy. Each one is convinced, look, I know how to enjoy. That fellow doesn't know how to enjoy. You believe that I must get there, then you see what happens. Richest man is not happy. The most powerful person is not satisfied. He wants more. You can go on adding examples. Even the most knowledgeable person is not content. He wants more knowledge. So whatever you seek in the world, and if you hit the peak, you're still not happy. Yet you will go that way because you need a certain amount of introversion to sit here. It's 5 evenings now. Let's see how many survive. No, I'm not looking for numbers. But it's tapas. See, at one time, the student went into the Himalayas looking for a master to learn. Now in air-conditioned comfort, everybody saying, Aye, please come, Okaranga, please, all that is happening. In this air-conditioned comfort, may or may not survive. You've got to have that burning desire. It's a burning desire to find the truth. Otherwise, it's a casual. So many speakers have spoken on this subject. Let us see what this lady has to say. Now, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but that is where you will be. So if you seek the truth, as a wise person does, you'll find it. So Krishna went all the way. I'm still on the subject that how he has come here. Suddenly he says, listen again. Now what do you understand? Okay, listen again. We listen. It has a meaning. Now in the academy, I don't know, maybe they didn't show you the presentation. We have an academy established by Swamiji, who's our guru, in 88. And this is close to Mumbai, in a hill station. It's called Lonavala, I think most of you would know. Lonavala or Pune, you would know. Between Bombay and Pune, that's where we have an academy, where we are training youngsters in a 3-year residential course. It's a full-time residential course. And we study the Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, the Vedanta philosophy over 3 years. There are no breaks, no holidays. And there we have the luxury of time. So this sort of, I'm giving you a little taste of how much depth there is in just these 2 words, listen again. Because it's come a long way to understand there's a punch in these words. So what Krishna has done, every chapter he's talked about how to unite with a theme. And in the 9th chapter, he gave 34 verses of Raja Vidya, Raja Guhyam, meaning the royal knowledge and royal secret. Secret because it's unknown. The truth is unknown. In that sense, it's a secret. And royal knowledge, it's the highest knowledge known to humanity. So he's talked about it for 34 verses, the previous chapter, and he still continues. Listen again. Now, why does he say that? It's a very interesting suggestion here. He says, listen again to my supreme word, because he's talking about the truth, which I will speak to you who are delighted. See, when there's a tremendous interest in the student, you're mentally attuned. First of all, he says, oh, Mahabaho. Mahabaho means mighty armed. So he's talking to a student who is physically fit. See, unless you're physically fit, how can you listen? How can you survive these high thoughts? So when people went up to Swami Vivekananda and asked for spiritual advice, you know what he said? Anybody remembers what he said? Go play football. Some of us know what it means. Now, how many of us would go play football and come back tomorrow? If you go play football, you'll all be admitted in the hospitals. Physically fit. You've got to be physically fit. So Mahabaho, and then Priyamanaya, mentally fit. You're delighted. So it's not physically fit and mentally suspicious. No, mentally also fit. You know, when you're devoted, you receive knowledge very well. And then he says, wishing your welfare. Why is he wishing welfare? Means a master always looks to benefit you. So Krishna as a master has no other interest, no other motive. And bhuyaha, he says, again, because it's not the first time he's talked about this truth, but he has extreme patience to cater to the student's needs. And then he says, Paramam Vachaha, supreme word, the mystery of the origin. Listen, Shrunu. So that is how it begins the chapter, and we continue.
न मे विदुःसुरगणाः प्रभवं न महर्षयः अहमादिर्हि देवानां महर्षीणां च सर्वशः.
Neither the hosts of gods nor the great sages know my origin, for in all respects I am the source of all the gods and the great sages. Now, when he says gods, you see gods here, it's in small case and plural. See, we say there is only one God, Brahman, the reality. Now, why is he saying gods? In the context, first of all, the Bhagavad Gita, as you know, is a Gita, is a poem, the song. So the words that are used have to be interpreted. They are with reference to context. You can't take them literally. So you must understand in the context, what does the poet mean? What does the great sage mean by saying gods? So in this context, gods means highly sattvic people, highly evolved people who have spiritually evolved. So even those people, advanced in the spiritual growth. So he says, neither such people, gods, nor great sages, traditionally accepted great souls, the sages. This, he says, know my origin. So my is in capital, M is in capital. Whenever a sage, a Mahatma, a prophet, a master uses the first person singular, I or my, he does not mean the personality Krishna. This is where many people have misunderstood. You must go to Krishna. He's saying, come to me. Same words by Christ, or Muhammad, or Buddha, Mahavira. All of them said the same thing. Me and my, and I. Now, each one, if you're born into a family that believes in Krishna, you'll become a Krishna follower. If you are born into a family where they worship Lord Shiva, you become a Shiva follower. If you're born in a family that born into a Christian faith, you become a Christian. Nobody questions, what am I doing? Who am I following? Because we have born into that family, we follow the tradition of the family. I'm not saying it's wrong. We've got to question it. So here, I'm making it clear to you that when a master uses first person singular, he means the truth, the reality. Why? Because he has merged with the truth. He has merged with the reality. It is the reality speaking to us, as it were. Not the personality Krishna. Not the personality Christ. Not the personality Muhammad. It means each one of them had reached the truth. The truth speaks to you. So you can strike off my, or you can put the reality. The origin of the reality is unknown, even for highly sattvic, highly evolved souls. That's all he's saying. And I am the source. When he says I am, the truth, the reality is the source of all gods and all great sages. In fact, everyone. But here he's only talking about even the highly evolved people have yet to know the truth. So don't worry, we are only trying to begin the journey. I don't even know if you're going to begin the journey. But we are trying to understand there is a deep meaning to be born a human being. And see, there are millions of people in this world, billions of human beings on this planet. Of all of them, how many people would be interested to know of something beyond the regular, routine, mundane existence? I don't know. Infinitesimal. Very few. Bhagavad Gita? What is the average age here? No, don't worry. Let's not talk about it. I'm used to it. When we talk, it's like listening to the Gita ourselves. Everybody is welcome. It's meant for young people who are going to begin their journey in life. Usually after, it's a post-retirement pastime. Bhagavad Gita. Why? Nothing else to do. What else to do in life? And if a young person comes, they will ask, what happened to you? Was there a tragedy in your life? Why are you going for Gita lectures? What's wrong with you? They asked me that many years ago. Now they don't ask. Very well you speak. But could I ask a personal question? Yeah, what is it? Why have you taken up to Gita so early in life? As if it was something incorrect. You should take it later on, isn't it? No, I said, taken up because this made more sense than anything else. Yeah, correct. Gita's a great thing, very great thing, very great punya, you're doing all that. But any tragedy in your life? They believe unless you are hurt or something you've lost, why would you go to Gita? Why would you turn to religion? Why would you turn to spirituality? No, it's not normal. Yet, it's a far, far better thing you can do in life. Nothing in this world that can ever match with a life of purity. But we don't understand. See, we have not tasted it. We don't understand the value of a high quality life. We don't understand because we've never known it. It's like, I don't know if you've seen slums. You understand slums? There are human beings living there in such conditions. You say it's not human. So some people, some social workers go out there and help them lead a fairly good quality life. Why? Because they believe they're missing out on so much. People out of the slums, you're leading a better life, better quality life, better homes, better food, better clothing, everything is better. But even there, in the filth, in the dirt, children are born, children grow up, they're educated or whatever they do, they have their own families. So you feel sorry, you feel they must have a better quality life. You want to pull them out of that place and give them a higher quality life. See, once you taste a higher quality of life, you can never go back to living in a slum. Even if you've lost all your money, you can't go back to a slum. Because you've tasted a higher quality of life. Okay, this is not appealing to many people. Your son goes to America or England. And then what happens? He tastes a better life. He imports a wife from here. And they get a green card, which we call the red card. And then not to talk of citizenship. Citizenship there, and mother should come, father should come, everybody should go from here to help them with their children born there. Now, I'm not criticizing. Once they go there, they don't want to come back. Why? Taste. They've tasted something higher. They don't want to come. Taste something higher, relatively speaking. See, if you have tasted this knowledge, impossible to go anywhere else. Impossible. When you don't have this knowledge, then the world will attract you. This is a punya bhumi. Those who have the capacity to stay here, stay here. Those who don't have the capacity, go. Again, we are not criticizing, we are only saying. It's like this, there is a replica of Tirupati in Pittsburgh, USA. Replica. But even if you are living in the US and you go to Pittsburgh, if you want darshan, you come here and worship here in the temple. Why? Replica is there. Why don't you worship there? It's not. It doesn't feel complete. For centuries, in this country alone, there has been a galaxy of sages and saints no other country has produced. Go up and look. From time immemorial, you had greatest of thinkers born in this country. So if you don't know the value of that, then you will seek something else. But all we are saying here is, the moment you taste something which you don't have here, you don't want to come back. That's all we are saying. So, he says, this knowledge is such a high quality. If you get a taste of it, you will keep pursuing it till you get there. So when these masters use the first person singular, they only meant the truth, the reality.
Yo mamajamanadim cha vetti lokamaheshwaram asammudha samartyeshu sarvapapaih pramuchyate.
He who knows me as unborn, beginningless, and the supreme Lord of the world, he undeluded among mortals is liberated from all sins. Now this verse describes that state. What is Brahman, or the pure consciousness, pure awareness, pure knowledge, pure bliss? These are all different terms indicating the same state. Let's say, what is this state? What is this reality? It is a state of human perfection. That's all we can say. Just to understand. See, okay, there's a graph from 0 to 100. At 0, a person is most imperfect. Physically, materially unsuccessful, physically total misfit. Mentally, he's not steady at all, unstable person. Thinking 0. There's nobody like that. But let's put a person at 0 point. Then you go all the way, you hit the 100th mark. 100th mark is perfection. Human perfection. We don't know what that is. That is that state of Brahman, Atman, truth, reality, Godhood, pure consciousness, pure awareness. These are all synonyms. They all mean that perfect state. Two extremes. Now, what is happening to the rest of humanity is all of us are somewhere between the two. We are neither 0 nor 100. Somewhere between the two. The question is, do you know where you are? Like we said, we've got this opportunity called human life. First of all, find out where you are. Why, you may ask? You want to be happy, right? How are you going to find happiness unless you know which way you're going? See, going towards 100th mark is reaching a state of pure bliss. If you are going the wrong direction, you're going to be stressed, strained, worried, anxiety. You'll have anxieties, fear, envy, passion, the rest of it. So if you say, I am stressed, I am strained, I am worried, but you have a perfect reason. Because my neighbor is a very terrible person. That is why I'm upset. Imagine if that person changes, or I change my place, I'll be very happy. You may be happy with reference to neighbor, but something else will come up. There's a noisy, some children are noisy in that place. Something will bother you. Or the boss is not a good person. Or the subordinates are terrible people. They're cheating all the time. Something will bother you. So you believe genuinely it's something outside of you that is bothering you. You don't understand, in that graph of from 0 to 100, you're moving downward, not upward. You don't even know what it means to move upward. That's all we're discussing here. How that yoga, yuj, is going, setting the direction towards the higher. Most people don't know where they are. They don't know which way they're going. They only talk about stress and strain. And these days, BP has gone up. And then the heart problem starts, the diabetes, or all sorts of things we believe is at the physical level. Physical ailments come because of a mental state. Please understand that. What do the doctors do? We are grateful for what the doctors do. They are only suppressing the symptoms. That's all they can do. Because you have created the symptoms. How have you created symptoms? By setting the direction down. And why are you going downward? Because you don't know of any other life. So the Gita cautions you. Look, you're a human. You can set the direction right. But I am already past X age. Better late than never. Remaining years at least change. And if you're young, all the better. You can set the direction when you're young so that you can move in the right direction. That's all it means. So here he's describing that state. What is that state? Ajam, unborn. See, birth means death, means change. But when he says that reality is unborn, means it's not subject to change. It is a changeless state. Once you get there. Yad gatva nanivartante. Once you get there, you don't return. See, once you gain, even in a relative sense, you understand. See, once you become refined, you cannot become an unrefined person. If you understand culture and live a life of culture, you can't become crude and rude. It's not possible. Because you've gained the higher state. Similarly, with language, if you are proficient in a language, you can never fall back to broken language. Why? It's a higher state. Once you get there, you don't return. So this is the highest state. One who gets there doesn't return. So it's unborn, meaning changeless. Anadim, beginningless. So time, when you talk about beginning, time is just an interval between two experiences. Just as distance is measured, is an interval between 2 points. If I say, what is the distance here? You'll say, here? You'll need 2 points to measure distance. Yes, no? You're looking at me as though you understand what I'm saying, no? Sometimes when I talk like this, you look at me straight. Philosophy, distance, what is the meaning? Anything philosophical? I'm only talking distance. You need 2 points to measure distance. Okay? Similarly, to measure time, you need 2 experiences. That is how you measure time. It's an interval between 2 experiences. Now, when did time begin then? It can only begin in the second experience. But he says, because you need 2 points, 2 experiences. But Brahman existed in the first experience. That's why he says it's beginningless. See, even the unit of time is what? What is the unit of time? Second. Only one person is saying. You all know that, right? The unit of time is second. Why is it not first? Because it's a second experience that the calculation of time began. But Brahman existed in the first, therefore beginningless. Loka Maheshwaram is the Lord of the world, meaning it is that which enables us to go through experiences, just as electricity helps the bulb to give light. Without electricity, bulb cannot have light. Similarly, without the self in you, there is no life, manifestation of life. In that sense, Loka Maheshwaram, Asammudaha Saha, one who is undeluded among mortals, is liberated from all sins. Liberated from all sins means, we talked about the bliss. What is bliss? What is happiness? When your mind remains free from agitations, it is blissful. So sin in the context means mental agitations. So you're liberated from all sins means you have no mental agitation. The negative way of putting it, what? That you will be in a state of bliss. So he's only describing that state, that 100th mark. And he continues. Next two verses.
बुद्धिर्ज्ञानमसम्मोहः क्षमा सत्यं दमः शमः सुखं दुःखं भवो भावः भयं च भयमेव च अहिंसा समता तुष्टिः तपोदानं यशो यशः भवन्ति भावा भूतानां मत्त एव पृथग्विधाः.
He says in the 4th verse, intellect, knowledge, non-illusion, forgiveness, truth, control over senses and mind, joy and sorrow, existence and non-existence, fear and fearlessness also. So that's why it continues. He's talking about the immanence of Brahman. All qualities arise from Brahman. Without Brahman, characteristics or qualities cannot manifest. So he's only enumerating various aspects. You don't have to worry about it, but you must understand this was the conversation between Lord Krishna and Arjuna. In the conversation, he brought up many points. What did he say? So in the 4th verse, buddhi, intellect, capacity to think, jnanam, knowledge, conditioned knowledge. See, that is pure knowledge. The knowledge we have. Suppose I ask, do you have knowledge? You'll ask, of what? Are you aware? Of what? Are you conscious? Of what? So all our knowledges, all our awareness, all our consciousness is of something. So you need an object. That is why it is called conditioned knowledge. Though he says jnanam, it is conditioned knowledge. But when you hit the 100th mark, you reach the very source of knowledge, pure knowledge. We're not describing it, we are only mentioning it. So he talks about jnanam, which we experience. And then he says non-illusion, never losing sight of Brahman. It's another characteristic. Kshama, forgiveness. When you have a charitable disposition, I don't know if we have it. Forgiveness is beautifully explained by Mark Twain. And what is forgiveness? How to understand forgiveness? He says, it's the fragrance a violet releases when the foot crushes it. Now there you go. Forgiveness is the fragrance the violet sheds on the heel that has crushed it. So even if somebody hurts you, why be vindictive? So you may say, people are terrible, they hurt. So how do you counter that? There's another great thinker, Maurice Maeterlinck. He puts it beautifully. Of course, you would see there is wickedness. Of course, people do things, terrible things. But how do you view it? Maurice Maeterlinck, he tells us, happy and blessed hour, when wickedness stands forth revealed as goodness bereft of its guide. Look at the thought. Look at the charitable disposition. Yes, the fellow is a wicked fellow, cheater. He has hurt you. We are talking about attitude, please. What is happening within you? You may take a corrective course of action. That you do. Whatever you think you should do, you do it. Not out of hatred, not out of spite, not at avenging something. A corrective course of action is fine, but not with an unforgiving, uncharitable attitude. Because you will only have anger in you. You will have frustration in you. And you can never be happy. So, he says, even when you see wickedness, you understand it as wickedness. But the attitude within you is goodness without a guide. If he had proper training, he would not behave like this. But take the course of action, whatever you need to do. So there you are, kshama, We can go on talking about Kshama. I did tell you in the academy we have, if you take up this word, we could take a whole class. But if I take a whole class, then we will not complete chapter 10. So we have to complete the chapter, and that's why I'm going ahead. Satyam, truth. Truth is to pursue your conviction in life that is chosen by the intellect. Damaha is physical discipline, discipline of the senses. This goes into the next. Where are we? No, not yet. Go back to fourth verse, please. Control over truth, then control over senses, right? Control over senses is damaha. Shamaha is mental control, where your impulses are controlled, even if you have positive impulses or negative impulses. They must be under control. Sukham dukkham, the capacity to feel joy and sorrow. And then bhavaha abhavaha, existence and non-existence. Meaning the present world is existing, and what is non-existent, past and future. All this is arising from the reality. And bhayam abhayam, fear and fearlessness. All these characteristics come from Brahman, and he carries on in the fifth verse. Ahimsa, non-injury, again is an attitude, not action. Samatha, equanimity, unaffected by fluctuations, that only a human being can function in that manner. Tushtihi, content. Contentment comes when you have an understanding that each one gets what he deserves, not what he desires. Then you'll be content. Otherwise you'll say, I need this, I want this. You can aim for anything higher while you're content with what you got. Otherwise you will never be content. So contentment, and then tapaha, austerity is conserving your energies and directing it in a positive way. Tapaha. Danam is charity, where you don't have that ownership. You've got something, God's grace you've got, share it as much as you can. So that ability to give is danam. And yashaha, ayashaha, fame and infamy, meaning your reputation that is experienced in this world. He just gives in a conversation many characteristics. This is not all exclusive, but all inclusive. It just means he gives a few characteristics born from Brahman. He continues.
Maharshaya sapta purve chatvaro manavastatha madbhava manasa jataha yesham loka imah prajaha.
Another verse that has to be sort of decoded, because it's just this verse symbolizes the human constitution. It has nothing to do with all the names that are given here. It's interesting, but we'll find out what it means. The 7 great sages, the ancient 4, the Manus, with their being in me again means Brahman, the reality, were born of mind. From them all these creatures of the world. So what does it mean? Maharshaya Sapta, the 7 sages. 7, the number, I'm not going to the names, but 7 sages represent 5 senses: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin. These are the 5 senses we have. Mind and intellect. See, the different ways of understanding the human constitution. So here he's saying 7 sages means 5 senses, mind and intellect. Then the 4 ancient Kumaras, or we know that Sanatana, the Kumaras, the eternal youths. What does that mean? Mind, intellect, ego, ahankar, and conditioned consciousness. When we say conditioned, I just talked to you about conditioned knowledge, conditioned consciousness. Everything is objectified. So you are aware of, you're conscious of everything in this world. So it's not pure consciousness, but conditioned consciousness. So that is another way of describing the human constitution, the 4 Kumaras. And then the Manus. Manus are the ancient lawgivers, 14 in number. So what does that mean? 14 in number in the human constitution is the 10 pranas. 10 pranas, organs of perception, organs of action. And then you have the ability, the other apana, samana, vyana, udana. So altogether, the 10 plus 4 are the 14 manus. Now you don't have to go into the details. It's a beautiful way of describing the human constitution. That's why it's coded. We have to understand what he's meaning. So already 3 he has said, and then he says, their being is in me. All these exist because of me, and were born of mind. Born of mind when he says, look, whatever you're experiencing in the world is because of what you project. So some people say, why he says that is, if you ask a person how's life, how's this world? Oh, the world is a beautiful place to live in. It's fantastic. Life is fantastic. Because your mind is in that state. Another person says, it's a terrible world. All the world, everybody is cheating me. I can't trust anyone. Why do you say that? In the same world. Because your mind is projecting that. Whatever your thoughts are, you project in the world. See, it's like a buffet. The world is constituted of all qualities. Why do you zero in on certain qualities? Because your antenna is picking that up. So to a philosopher, don't say it. Because there's a beautiful English quote. He says, what Peter speaks of Paul speaks more of Peter than of Paul. You understand that? What you speak of another speaks more about you than the other person. There's good and bad in everyone. How do you pick up the bad? Because you are attuned to that. That's what he means when he says born of mind. So you see a world according to your mind. Whatever your mind is, you project it. And from that, he says, the creatures of the world. What all you see in this world is nothing but a projection of your own thoughts. Good and bad there shall be in this world. That's the blessed words of Christ. Iniquity there shall be in this world. And then he says, woe unto you if you be the cause. You better not be the cause. There shall be iniquity. And he says, resist not evil, judge not others. Judge not others, resist not evil. There shall be evil. Don't resist it. Deal with it. Deal with it with a positive mind. You can handle anything in this world. He continues.
Etam vibhutim yogam cha mama yo vetti tatvatah so vikampena yogena yujyate natra samshayah.
Yah veti. Whoever knows, he who knows what? In reality, this supreme manifestation and my yoga, he becomes established in unshakable yoga, unshakable union. There is no doubt about it. So, na atra samshayah. Krishna emphasizes. Very rarely he does that, but he emphasizes to show powerful authority. Meaning, this is the truth. There is no doubt about it. What is undoubted? He who knows in reality, tattvataha, in essence, who recognizes Brahman, the manifestation and yoga, just as the union of electricity and bulb brings about the manifestation of light. The union of electricity and the bulb brings about the manifestation of light. Electricity has no light. The bulb by itself has no light. But the union of both brings about the manifestation of light. That's exactly what he's saying. The union between Brahman or the spirit in you, the God principle in you, and matter vestures, the body, mind and intellect. The body, mind and intellect are just matter. If this finger were chopped and kept, it will lie here like this table. No life. This table has no life. But there is life in this body because of the union. Because of the union, there's a manifestation of life. So one who knows this becomes established. So when you see life manifest, you can either focus on the self in you, the God principle in you, which is enabling you to function, or you could get involved in the functions. That choice is yours. So you train yourself to be able to see that which enables you to see. You're seeing now. You're hearing now. What is enabling you to see? That there is something beyond your cognition. Something is enabling me to see. Something is enabling me to hear. Something is enabling me to function in various aspects. What is that something? So the more you think about it, the more you focus on it, you get established, he says. You get established in unshakable yoga. So then you hit the 100th mark. You get the absolute bliss. There's no doubt about it. But even if you set the direction, as you are moving in that right direction, you become more and more blissful. So relatively speaking, it works if you want to be more peaceful. And when you hit the 100th mark, you gain absolute bliss. He continues.
Aham sarvasya prabhavaha matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha.
I am the origin of all, from me everything evolves, understanding thus the wise worship me endowed with devotion. Now from the 8th verse till he concludes in the 11th verse, Krishna, he is talking about how to prepare oneself. You remember we said, set the direction. So first of all you prepare yourself in the 8th verse. Then in the 9th verse he gives a complete sadhana. The 10th verse he says, only when you have completed your sadhana, you're fit to concentrate and meditate. And in the 11th verse he concludes, reaching that final state. So here he says, preparing the head and heart. I am the origin of all. See, just as you understand a dream, when you fall into the dream, where do you think the dream came from? You go into a dream, you experience yourself as a dreamer, experiencing the dream world of things and beings. Where do you think the dream came from? Anybody? Projection of what? Your own mind, not somebody else's mind. Your own mind became rays and rays of the dream. The moment you wake up, the whole dream folds back into your mind. So in that sense, he's saying, just as the waker's mind says, I am the origin of all that is happening in the dream. Once you wake up, you understand that. As long as you're dreaming, you think things are happening in the dream. A lot of people wake up in a fear. What happened? I don't know what happened. It's a bad dream. What? You don't even know what happened. It is a projection of your own mind. That you'll understand only after waking up, not while you're in the dream. So in a similar way, he says, I am the origin of all. When do you say that? When you hit the 100th mark, not before that. But he's just telling us that to prepare our head and heart. And then he says, from me everything evolves. Remember the waker's mind, saying, from me the whole dream evolved. Understanding thus, the wise worship me. Understanding this, the dreamer will try to wake up. That's all he's saying. Endowed with devotion. So here, it is a belief. You don't yet know it. But there is a belief here, not a blind belief, but a belief with a reasonable understanding. That's a preparation. And in the 9th verse, he says,
Macchitta madgata pranaha bodhayantah parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam तुष्यन्ति च रमन्ति च.
We will just go through the verse today, but I'll explain in detail tomorrow. Those with mind in me, with pranas absorbed in me, enlightening one another and always speaking of me, they are contented and delighted. So these are the disciplines, complete sadhana at the physical, mental, intellectual level. So when he says, perceptions, pranas means perceptions are absorbed in me and also speaking of me, meaning actions. Speech is an organ of action. So organs of perception and organs of action together mean physical discipline. So all the physical disciplines are directed to the higher, karma yoga. Then mind in me, meaning you surrender to the higher, emotions are directed to the higher, bhakti yoga. And then enlightening one another, thought, study, reflection, discussion on the self is jnana yoga, not just erudition and scholarship. You can be very scholarly in your approach, but that is not reaching the truth. You got to be absorbed in thought of the truth. And what is the test that you are doing the right sadhana? He says, contented and delighted. Content with the world externally and delighted within. So internally you're happy, externally you're satisfied. That is the test of sadhana. I did say I'll take it up in more detail tomorrow. Thank you very much.
For those of you interested in a deeper study of the Bhagavad Gita, Swamiji has written a comprehensive verse-by-verse commentary with a unique topic-wise division of each chapter. In the course of a lifetime of research, Swamiji has also written Vedanta treatise, The Eternities. It presents the entire Vedanta philosophy, the complete wisdom of life, in one book. Both these books are available on Amazon and ebook formats. Weekly online interactive classes and periodic retreats on the Bhagavad Gita and Vedanta are currently being conducted by senior disciples of Swami Parthasarathy based in North America. We also have short programs for youth. All are welcome to attend. To register, please visit the websites displayed on your screen. For all links, please visit the description below. Join us tomorrow for day 2 of the lecture series, Monday on